We create jobs and make entrepreneurial dreams come true. ACE, a nonprofit community lender, specializes in small business loans coupled with business advisory services. ACE has loaned more than $39 million, helped over 725 business owners fulfill their dreams, and ACE has helped its clients create or retain more than 6,200 jobs. These are the stories of those businesses we've helped reach success and claim their American dream.
Welcome to Ace's Best Stories. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw. Ace's Best Stories brings you the journey of someone who is starting out on something new or building their own business. We talk about what it takes to successfully get a business off the ground and make it run. Talking today with Tonya Oxendine, and she's a motivational speaker. This is a new role for her, so we're going to talk a little bit about her background and how she decided to get into this. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so motivational speaker. So talk to me about your past. I've already had a conversation with you, so I know a little bit about it, but Tell me, what have you been doing?
Okay, for the past 30 years, I've served our country in the United States Army. So I've done some motivational speaking, well, quite a bit of motivational speaking, talking to the troops and different installations, going out and speaking to the soldiers about different issues concerning, personal issues or professional development. So I do have some experience in talking and speaking to others. Right now, since I've retired in 2014, I want to move to the civilian sector and start, doing speaking engagements and motivational speaking there. It's a little different. It's a little different speaking to soldiers and speaking to civilians. So I am now trying to hone that craft where, I'm speaking to civilians and not using military terminology or being brutally
honest.
No,
I think everybody needs a little bit of that.
We can all use a little bit of that.
Well, what's interesting to me, because I've spoken with a lot of people who have had a military career, and the military career, and I'm not smart enough to know, but it's typically 20 years, right? Don't most people
It's typically 20 years.
20, and you stayed in 30.
Yeah, nearly 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So, because you can go and be in the military for 20 years, and then you basically retire.
Yes. But
you're very rarely old enough to then not decide you're going to do something else. So a lot of people who leave the military end up doing something new.
Most do. Now, I'll speak on what I know, my experiences with people that have retired from the military. Because of our experience and the 20 years or however many years you spend in the military, usually 20-year retirement is what people do. They go out and get a good government job.
So they leave the military and then end up back in the government.
So they stay right there usually because, they're in their comfort zone, and which is okay.
Right.
I decided after I retired, I started a company before I retired.
Okay.
A commercial cleaning company.
Okay.
And was doing okay. And I said, hey, I can do this because it's about leading people and taking care of people and treating people with dignity and respect. And I've done that for nearly 30 years. So I said, why not? I did that, was running okay. I went and got that good government job. Did not particularly care to be in a cubicle setting.
Yeah.
I jumped out of airplanes for nearly 20 years in the 82nd Airborne Division. So every time I would go out for lunch and see that it would be a beautiful day like today, I would say, I could be jumping out of an airplane.
Yeah.
So I resigned.
Yeah. So you felt confined.
Yes, I resigned.
And so it was the government job you ended up with was very different from what you were doing?
Very different. It was, in the cubicle, hitting keyboards all day. I was not, out, a teamwork type thing with my soldiers, preparing training and rucking and marching and jumping out of airplanes. And
so talk to me about, okay, so I'm really curious. So you ended up in the military how?
I grew up in St. Augustine, Florida.
Okay.
How do I say this? We didn't have a lot, to say the least. I knew that I did not want to stay in St. Augustine. I wanted to go to college. We could not afford college.
Okay.
So, I said, well, I'll join the Army. And I did. And it was nothing planned. Nobody's, my Vietnam vets, my uncles, but nobody talked about, military. Nobody even talked about college. But we couldn't afford college. So the next best thing for me was the military. And I joined the military. I fell in love with it the first day of basic training.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
What did you fall in love with?
Just the excitement.
So here's my background.
Yes.
So I went to school at a North Georgia college, which is a military college.
Okay.
So I could end up at IBM because they had a relationship with IBM. So that's why I did it. I did not so much love basic training. It didn't really I did like what they call Frog Week, which was a version of that.
Yeah.
Stop laughing, Isaac.
Yeah.
They shaved my head.
Yeah.
I had no hair.
Well, I didn't have to worry about them shaving my head.
Okay. Yeah, they didn't do that to the female cadets. Right. So you loved it, right?
I really did.
Was it the physical?
It was the physical part. It was,
I only run from bears.
Yeah. Well, hope you haven't had to do that. It was just the physical part and just the excitement and the adrenaline and the challenge and all those.
Yeah, to go into basic training and be like, I really like it.
Yeah.
Like that means you were built specifically for it.
And I was, pretty athletic, so it was kind of easy for me to, do all that stuff and run and, not have to worry about being physically fit.
Yeah.
So it came easy.
Did you like the structure?
I did like the structure.
Yeah.
My mom was pretty strict. So going into that structure was, again, easy. And growing up a little bit, since you talked about the structure, I had to take charge. It was just me, my mother, my brother. But I had to take charge and do a lot of things because, it was just circumstances.
Yes.
So it was easy for me to take orders, to give orders,
Right.
And like you said, the physical part of it. And so I just fell in love with it. And I said, I can do this.
And so then as you stayed in the military for 30 years, it sounds like you stayed in an area that was more kind of physical.
It was.
And that's surprising to me because I guess I have these misconceptions of how it works. Like I feel like people go through the military thing and they're there for 10 years in some kind of like a physical whatever, and then they end up in an office job.
Sometimes,
but you didn't make that choice.
Right, I didn't. Because I always wanted to try to excel.
Yeah.
And so I took what we were the hard jobs. I'm sure you guys have, you can get the cushiony jobs in your field or you can go out.
Yeah, we're entrepreneurs.
Right.
We took the hard job.
That's exactly right.
I'd rather work 120 hours a week so I don't have anyone telling me what to do for 40,
That's
right?
exactly right. Exactly. It came natural for me to do that. And how I ended up staying 30 years, because again, I took the hard jobs. I did drill instructor. I went to airborne school. I jumped out of airplanes.
Wow.
So I always wanted to excel and do my best. And then when I really found out how the structure worked in the military, that, you take care of these people and they do these wonderful things for you, being a leader. So, and I wanted to be that leader and I wanted to be the best leader. It's just an amazing feeling to be able to take care of America's sons and daughters. And I was honored to be able to do that for nearly 30
we
years.
appreciate your service. And it sounds like you were like right there in the front.
Yeah.
So as you think about the motivational speaker part of that, so in the military, corporately or in commercial world, we'll bring somebody in that like Brandon Smith is the workplace therapist. So he's also on Briller Network like I am. And he goes in and helps like dysfunctional workspaces. So he goes and talks to people and gives speeches around how to make your workplace less dysfunctional.
Right.
But he's brought in as an outsider, maybe someone who doesn't know the company. And the point is that he's bringing an outside perspective. So you were an insider to the military.
Right.
And then talk to me about the kind of ways you were being asked to speak and what you were doing.
Yeah, we would have several monthly events, whether it was Women's History Month, Black History Month, Native American Month, just to recognize our diverse culture in the military.
Okay.
And as I started speaking at the different monthly events or even some events within my organization, I was asked to speak, even at a higher level. Someone in the audience may see me or they would get in contact with, the commander, and it would go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the first time you spoke, was it something that you went out and said, hey, I want to do that? Or did somebody ask you?
Someone asked.
Yeah. What'd you think of that?
Thought I was the stuff. I mean, to be asked to speak, a lot of people get nervous.
Do you like to excel, or are you an adrenaline junkie? You sound like you're also a bit of an adrenaline.
Right.
That sounds fun.
Right.
That'll get my
and to be
juices
able to
flowing.
put something together from start to finish, to tell your story or to do the research and find out something more about an event, person, place, or thing was pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, and it's a lot harder to do than people know.
It's a lot harder because I don't have a speech writer. I'm not that fortunate.
Yeah, well, not that, and even in that you own the content so much. Well, because it's about figuring out how you can tell the story in a way that's genuine to you and those kind of things. So as you went through the military career and you decided to do the commercial business, so why didn't you continue to do the commercial cleaning business?
I still do.
You still do? Okay. That's still a side hustle.
Yes. Okay. Always on my grind.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then now you're talking about doing motivational speaking in the commercial space. So would you not go back to the military? Would they hire you back to come in and do motivational speeches and stuff?
That is one of my goals.
Yeah.
I would love to go back, to be asked to come back and speak to soldiers. Absolutely. Because, I would tell them, even though I did nearly 30 years, I would tell them because we get comfortable and we're used to the team we have. We're used to the assignment that we're at. So we don't want to leave that little world. And it's, we're safe and we're secure. I say, get out there and try something different.
Yeah.
I didn't think that, I still miss it. Like, again, today is a great day to be jumping out of an airplane. I still miss it. But I wouldn't be here if I didn't make the choice to, to go ahead and retire at that point. So I would say do your time and then, exit gracefully.
Exit gracefully. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go to a commercial break. And when we come back, I want to talk about the transition.
Okay.
Because what happens even in the commercial space is, someone's been at a company for 20 years, that company goes away.
Yes.
Or they've been doing a job for 20 years and they decide they hate that job and it's time to go do something else.
Right.
And that's really scary. It's like I've been known as or may have gone to work for like a specific profession. Mm-hmm. I don't have this problem. I never officially took a job. I was like really young and I was like, that's not for me. I'm just going to never really know it's ever going to know what I do. So, but I want to talk about that, like having that stability thing that's yours and your identity is wrapped up in it and moving from a space of uncertainty.
That's tough.
So what that looks like and how you're navigating through it, what helps, what doesn't help. Yeah. What other people you might tell other people who are I'm about to retire from the military. What should I know? Okay. So we're going to talk about that when we get back.
All right, great.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're about to go to our first commercial break. I'm talking today with Tonya Oxendine. She is a motivational speaker, spent 30 years in the military, and she's joining you on Aces Best Stories to tell you about her new adventure. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw. We'll be right back.
If it wasn't for ACE, my business may have closed in 1 year.
If it wasn't for ACE, my business wouldn't be expanded as much as it's expanding right now. They were there for me at the time of my need.
If it wasn't for ACE, we would not be here today.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for ACE, I would very much still be cooking at an hourly rate, and I would have never impacted hundreds of lives and an entire community.
I still remember going to different kind of banks, big banks, and with papers, and these people send me back because I don't have, I had experience in the restaurant business, but I don't have, everything else this bank needed, and I believe in me.
I did the research in Adult Day. I had experienced it personally because my grandfather had Alzheimer's, so I wanted to do the business myself. Get into it because I knew I could make a difference.
Initially, when we started, there was only one person, which would be me. And then the company have grown from 1% to 8, and we provide quality assurance, quality control testing for FDA-regulated companies.
I think Grace not only completely understands what it's like to start off in an office connected to your laundry room or wherever she was, but she also understands the growth process, and I think that she does an excellent job of making sure that everybody who works with ACE has an understanding of the kind of struggles and celebrations that you can have.
ACE has helped us with putting our business idea into the market, working with us with the business, actually working, actually showing us, guiding me personally how to solve some of my marketing issue problems or with the business planning.
You don't meet many lenders that are invested in your success. And, you know, from their classes or presentations, seminars, they really do have a vested interest in your success.
The best advice I can do to small business owners is follow your dreams, you know? Always follow your dreams, follow your heart.
Have a plan. Just because you have a passion for it doesn't mean that you can start a good business.
Get ready for the ride of your life. And definitely make sure that you look out for fantastic resources like ACE.
ACE is a way to go.
You're just the best. They really are.
And we're back. You're listening to Ace's Best Stories. I almost said Eric's Best Stories. Ace's Best Stories. We're talking today with Tonya Oxendine. She's a motivational speaker, and she is on a new journey, having retired from the military in 2015. 2014. See, if you correct me, they'll remember more, right? It's like 4 years ago. And moving into this kind of new route of motivational speaking and figuring out how to do that in the, what should you call us, the corporate world?
Civilian.
The civilian world. I've got a friend who does a lot of work in the nonprofit space, and she and I kid that we sit and translate for each other.
Yeah.
Like, this means that, right? Like, that's what the word is.
Exactly.
So as we left for the break, I've talked with a lot of people who do the transition. The military is a big one because you do have, there sort of is a sunset typically. You know, there, and you said a lot of people end up in government jobs. But if you're coming towards the end of this career, you've been in this place that you've understood, you understand the structure. What are some things that you would suggest to someone, like if you were able to go talk to someone who's just on the cusp of doing what you did, what would you tell them?
I would say go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah. Because change, again, we get so comfortable where we're at, and it's tough to leave that. The military, probably like corporate world or anywhere else, we have our own lingo, we have our own way of doing things. And when I retired and came out into the civilian world, I was lost. Because I felt that I wasn't needed. Because I took care of my soldiers, and I don't want to get emotional. I took care of my soldiers. I really took pride in being a really great leader. And I felt that I wasn't needed anymore. Nobody knew me, nobody cared if I walked down the street or did anything. My soldiers recognized who I was and what I did for them. So I was in a very, very lonely place after retiring. I'm still struggling with a lot of things, but it's just different when I say, and that's not to down anybody when I say military and civilian life, it's totally different. So I'm trying to navigate out here in the civilian world, and hopefully with my motivational speaking, be able to tell my story and how I've dealt in my experiences to maybe help someone else.
Yeah, so the closest that could feel to me, and I'm trying to make sure I really understand it, is I sold a business in 2012, and it was my baby. And, you know, everybody worked for me. It was my company. I knew how it ran. And I've shared with you during the break, it was almost like I went through the stages of grieving, you know, like loss and maybe a little anger and a little acceptance. And I guess the closest thing for, you know, I would walk into that space and I was known in that space. So similarly, like you're being on a base and then people know you, is that what you're talking about?
Well, it's not necessarily about, you know, knowing me or if I, you know, care if somebody knows me or not or whatever. It was,
well, I'm not thinking of it as an ego thing.
Yeah, right. I don't want to come off like that.
Right.
Again, it's almost maybe like the empty nesters syndrome.
I have that too.
Yeah, me too. Right. So you're like, yeah, get out of here, go and do your own thing. But then you worry about them, you're concerned, and they don't need you necessarily anymore. You don't have to take care of them. They're becoming young adults going out on their own, and it's just you and your wife, and you're sitting there like, okay, now we have nothing else.
Yeah, my wife's like, it's good she's not texting us.
I'm not
but
saying
I'm
that.
sad.
Yeah, it's like,
She's
now you have nothing
me.
else in common, and, you got to figure out what you two are going to do together to make this thing continue to work and love and nourish each other. So that's kind of how I felt when I left the military. It's like I was an empty nester. And since my children are grown men, I was definitely by myself and had to deal. And, I don't necessarily have a support system. I don't have a intermediate, close-knit family. So it was just tough coming out and dealing with all of that.
So, but you said go for it.
Exactly. I figured that out after a while. And again, sometimes like I said, it's still, tough. I think about it. If one of my soldiers call or old buddy calls up and they may still be in or something, I get a little jealous, like, ooh, I could be doing that and I probably can do it better than you. But I still would tell someone based on my experiences, and now that I've been through it and dealt with, some disappointments, some ups and downs, I would still say you have to make a change. We can't continue to stay in the same place we're at. We'll never grow. Yeah.
So how are you growing?
I'm trying to make that change every day. Starting up now, I did that business. We're doing okay in the commercial cleaning piece. And trying to find my passion. My passion is not cleaning. I started that business on a whim. I'm saying, okay,
and those are great businesses.
Right.
Set up something that can kind of set and go.
It can set and go, right? I can make money while I'm asleep, right? So, but I needed to find my passion. So trying to find that passion and my purpose in life, and I struggled with that while I was retired. And I think that I have it now. This is what I'm comfortable doing, talking to people and motivating people and leading people and inspiring people and, empowering people, particularly women. Dealing with, I don't want to say issues like it's a bad or negative thing, but just dealing with womanly stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So you said that as you came into the civilian space, that you didn't feel needed.
Mm-mm.
How does the civilian space do that? And what could they do better? Because there's a lot of traits that are learned, and they talk about it all the time. Home Depot's a big hire. They hire military on purpose because they know the background, they know whatever. What is it that you come out and the resume's not as respected? Is it
exactly? I didn't think so, and from my experience, the resume wasn't expected. I couldn't get any higher in my position in the military. I went to the top. The highest you could make was E9. I made E9. You could get no higher than that. As an enlisted soldier, unless you're the sergeant major of the Army, but you're still in E9, again, the rank structure. And I don't think, so my resume should have spoken for itself, but it did not. I had to go through interview after interview after interview, and you're fully qualified, but not accepted, or whatever it says. Yeah. So that's like hit me in my gut. I'm saying I did all this stuff for so long, and really, if you come out here and do what I did, you would probably be in the corner curled up in a fetal position, and you know what I'm saying? So it was hurtful to not be accepted or needed in that space.
Yeah. And so as you have thought about putting together, because right now you're thinking through kind of your topics, and is that true? Yeah. So how are you going about that discovery process?
You mean the topics for motivational speaking?
Yeah. Like where you want to make your impact?
My target audience?
Yes,
or just,
any of that. Yeah,
I'm trying to.
Any of the things you want to write about or talk about or think about.
My target audience would be women. Now, of course, I would want to speak to anybody, but when you're building a business and narrow down your target audience, do your demographics and all this stuff.
Right.
I just want to get started. I have to execute. I'm at the point where the rubber meets the road now, where I have to execute and not sit back and say, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I have to be ready to get out and do it.
You have to say you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's such a huge feedback I give people who've started businesses. They'll tell me, "I'm going to."
Right.
Like, are you going to, or are you?
Right.
And it's a mind shift for yourself.
Yeah, there's so many topics I can talk about, and not to be offensive. One topic, I have a few I could say right now. One topic in particular that I would discuss is being a Black female senior leader.
Yeah.
It's different. Because when I'm sitting around the conference table in this huge room, and I'm looking around the board at the chain of command, which everybody's been in charge, they've all been white men, and it's male-dominated units.
Right.
So, and it's tough, and when you try to speak up, it's, That type of thing. Like, okay, what are you talking about? You're being too boisterous. But if my male counterpart, regardless of race, speaks up, then, oh, he's such a great leader and he's doing,
Right.
So that's one of the things I would talk about. Don't try to be in the boys club. Continue to be who you are. And
how did you get around that?
I continue to be who I thought I was. Now, I will tell you, I did try to be a part of the boys club, and getting out there and hanging with the guys and doing what they do and forgetting about, leading the soldiers. And I said, you know what, that's not right. It was in my gut. I wasn't feeling good about myself.
Yeah.
And I had to take a deep look inside and say, you need to come on back, Tonya, and figure this thing out and look at that definition of leadership again and how we got to take care of others.
Well, you're a smart lady.
No.
Go back and look at the stuff and kind of reset yourself, because it'd be easy to just follow the crowd, right?
Yeah.
And to come back and say, that's not me.
Right.
And as others are in the civilian or commercial space, what recommendation do you make to them to be heard in the room?
Speak up. Your voice is your strength. We can't be silent, can't continue to be silent. Of course, all the hashtags is going on now, because you never know who has dealt with what you've dealt with or suffering or may have been a victim or just need a word of encouragement. So just speak out and speak up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So future plans. You're starting this motivational path. What else do you have planned?
I want to do some leadership training and leadership consulting. I would love to start a doggy daycare.
That's good. That's good.
Yes.
People love their dogs.
Yes,
they spend a bunch
I
of money
have
on it.
a miniature Labradoodle, and
I think I was reading about that in your background.
Yeah. So I would love to start a doggy daycare. I would love to be on TED Talks.
Okay.
Yeah. And just get some gigs speaking and, hopefully to make a difference.
How are you seeing to get started in that space?
By doing things like this, coming out, networking, meeting people, being invited to the Speak Lab today, networking and meeting people, and just trying to get my name out because nobody knows me, Tonya Oxendine. So I'm trying to brand myself and get the marketing piece out there to let them know that, who I am and that I can offer something to them.
Yeah, you can definitely offer something. You've got a great background, a great experience that translates in a way that, it's about people paying attention and understanding how those lessons work across. That's what I always, because I work with lots of companies in lots of different industries, and I tell them, it doesn't matter the industry, it's the problem I'm solving.
Right.
I've solved that problem before.
Exactly.
So let's solve the problem.
Right.
I don't care if you're selling hair or you're selling payment processing, technology, whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Well, we wish you the greatest of luck. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
And you'll have to come, since you're at the beginning, you'll have to keep us updated, where you are and what's happening and that kind of thing. I love to see, we get to interview on these shows people at all different stages, from, well-established to just figuring it out.
Right.
Yeah. So you've been listening to Ace's Best Stories. I've been talking with Tonya Oxendine. She's a motivational speaker coming to a stage or a conference room near you. Next week, we'll bring you another story of another entrepreneur or small business owner on their own journey to establishing something for themselves. Make sure you tune in.